But see, that surprises me because I feel like you're so intuitive.
I'm dumb as rocks. I am dumb as rocks. I have no clue what's happening at any time. Literally, someone could be overtly like hitting on me, and I'd be like, yeah, I like you too as a friend. Like, I don't know.
Hey friends, it's your girl Emily Curl. We're back at iHeartRadio, and today we're joined by Conan Gray. Let's give it up.
Thank you. Wow.
I'm so excited to have you here. I was just telling you off camera, your new album, Superache. I got it yesterday, got to listen to the whole album through, and Conan, it is phenomenal.
Thank you.
It is so good. When I say track after track, I could not wait to get to the next one.
Thank you.
And I'm so curious, my first question for you for this is, do you write from personal experiences? Do you play with imagination? How did you sort of form this album together?
It's very much like my diary. You've read my diary at this point. And it's all just like, yeah, it's just like stuff that's happened to me in my life. I think that the album overarchingly is about like lingering love and like kind of mourning this like, I don't know, heartbreak, but being really annoying about it. Like, you know, being really dramatic about it all. I think that's kind of like what I write about.
I also love the specificity of your lyrics. Like you said, it is like reading a journal entry. When you were growing up, have you always been like a creative writer? Have you always been really in touch with that side?
I don't know. When I was growing up, I really wanted to be a biology teacher. And I loved like drawing, and I loved like writing like songs and like little things, but I never really thought that it was gonna be anything. So not really, but I loved to do it, but it was just something I did for fun, and maybe that's why it kind of took over my life.
Yeah, who was the first person, you know, maybe in your life, like a teacher, a parent, a friend, that really saw that spark where it's like, Conan, you're onto something. I think this could be, you know, your career path.
I distinctly remember a moment. I was sitting in the car with my mom, and we were driving to school, and I was singing the Dixie Chicks on the radio. I was singing, "Cowboy, take me away."
Yes, the Chicks.
And I was singing that, and my mom was on the phone with my aunt, and my aunt was like, "Oh, like what's that playing on the radio?" And she's like, "Oh, that's just Conan." and she's like, "Wait, that's Conan singing?" I was like 7 or something. So my aunt was like, "That's not normal that he sings this much." And I think maybe that's the first time that I realized that I loved music. But I don't know, I never really had like a moment or something. Yeah. Obviously, like my art teachers, everyone's obsessed with their art teachers.
So true, but, yeah. Well, it's funny, we just saw Harry Styles bring out Shania Twain to do a tribute to Coachella.
Oh, that's so good.
Is that something you'd ever do with the Chicks? You guys could do a Cowboy Take Me Away remix?
I would totally sing Cowboy Take Away with the Chicks. Oh my God, so good.
Let's dive into the track list a little bit, because you kick us off with movies. And immediately, I mean, this was one of my favorites on the whole album, and I think we all can relate to this. I feel like I interpret it as, you know, when you have a crush or when you sort of imagine what your life would look like with this person, and then when it happens, you're like, this maybe isn't what I had thought. Yeah. Everything's like a little disappointing in a sense. Tell me your interpretation of this.
To me, I feel like movies is about like being super in denial about like the state of a relationship, and you're like, yeah, everything's great. Like, we're perfect, everything's awesome. And then it's very obvious that things aren't actually what you think they are. And I think it's also about like the kind of like delusion of like being like, oh, well, like, I don't know, I think we're perfect for each other. And then you actually look at it and you're like, no, we are not. It doesn't really make sense.
The first one I feel like always sets the tone for the album. How tough was it to decide what order you wanted the tracks to go in and to lead with movies?
Well, I started with movies because I think the album tells a story of like being in denial about like love and things like that, and kind of like looking at it with like all this naivety, being like, oh, like I want to fall in love like the movies, like being all this kind of like starry-eyed about it. And then you end the album with just like, get out of my life, stay in my memories, please leave me alone. Bye. I don't want to be standing at the exit anymore, like get away from me. And so I kind of like wanted that progression.
At this stage, like, are you a hopeless romantic? Do you believe in love at first sight? Do you believe in soulmates? What does that look like for you?
Despite all the sad songs, I'm such a romantic. Really? It's so stupid. I'm so soapy about it. I don't know. I want to fall in love. I think it'd be nice. I'd have some good songs to write.
Oh my God, that would be an amazing album. For now, we need this one, but that's coming up. Yeah. My favorite on the album, fully when I first heard it, was Best Friends.
Oh yeah, really?
I love it.
Wow.
I can already imagine like all the TikTok montages that are coming through that song. Like I feel like it makes you think, and I want to hear your interpretation, but I feel like it made me think of, again, All My Best Friends, but it kind of sounded like there was a little bit of a love spark there too.
Yeah.
Tell me the process of Best Friends.
Best Friend is like very much the only uplifting song on the album. Like the only fun song on the album. That whole album is so depressing, and I felt like it needed one song that was true to like my life, because although like sure whatever I'm like sad about relationships, who cares? Like the truth is I like love my friends more than anything, and when I think of like the thing that has made my life so much better in the past 2 years, it's been my friends. My friends mean literally everything to me. I think if you're someone like me who like doesn't really like date that much, I think your friends really like are your soulmates. And I wrote that song about a couple people in my life that just like mean literally everything to me, and I would die for.
One of my favorite friendships is you and Olivia Rodrigo. I think it's such a cool thing to see you both come up. I mean, having these amazing careers. Did she get to listen to the album, and what did she think?
Yeah, we listened to the album in her car, and it was fun. Yeah.
Did she have a favorite?
I don't remember, but I think it's always like kind of nerve-wracking playing your music for your friends, because like at least with my friends, all of my friends, like they're just very like they'll be honest with me, and so it's like I'm always like,
so you're ready.
Oh, like, do you like it? They're like, yeah, it's great. I'm like, but are you lying? No.
Like,
Yeah, they're
no,
very
it's
honest.
actually good.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of honesty, I also want to talk about Family Line. That was one of the tracks that when I listened to it, it just gave me chills. I feel like it felt very vulnerable, and a lot of people can relate to feeling those feelings you described. Tell me a little bit about this one.
Yeah, well, Family Line is kind of one of the harder songs on the album to write. I spent like 2 years writing it, because when you listen to the song, you'll understand it's a bit hard to talk about these kinds of things when it comes to like talking about your past, and like I think also it's a song about like generational trauma. I think like, you know, you kind of go through all these generations of people who deal with pain and then end up passing their pain on to the next generation of their kids and then their kids, and it's a really hard thing. And when I was writing this song, I wrote the first half and then I put it down. I was like, I'm gonna play that to no one. Like I'm not gonna let anyone listen to that. And then played it for one friend, and we sat in our car and just cried. And we were like, oh well, you have to put that on the album. I was like, no, I don't want to. She's like, you have to, and I was like, fine. And then I like wrote one line and then waited another 2 months. And one line is just really kind of like, it's the longest I've ever taken to write a song.
Really? Now, is it a nerve-wracking experience releasing that album, that song in particular, to so many people?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'd be lying if I was like, yeah, whatever. Of course it's like intense, but I think it's important. I feel like life is so much easier to handle when you know that there's other people going through similar things as you.
Yeah, again, from that song too, there's a line, I was a kid, but I wasn't clueless. I think really hit me, because as I get older and become more of an adult, the more I realize, you look back in your childhood and you look at your parents, you're like, wow, they were kids too, you know? But then you realize you take all these things with you and you don't even can process it until you get a little bit older. How have those reflections sort of impacted you now and the art you create?
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting. I feel like in the past few years, I've finally kind of like been able to see it all a bit more plainly, and it's like, it's crazy, you know, it's like we're all just people and we make mistakes and we try and learn, and it's just kind of like I think back to like who I was as a kid, and I used to be so hard on him, you know, I used to be like, oh, like, why aren't you doing this and this and this, and I look back and I wish I could just like tell my little baby self like, oh, like, it's fine, like everything's fine, like you don't have to be so hard on yourself all the time, you know?
Oh man, I mean, speaking of Conan now, the success you've had, like what you've built up, if you could go back and tell, you know, 4-year-old Conan one piece of advice or maybe an encouraging statement, what would it be?
I would tell him to chill out because he's psychotic, and I would tell him to not put everything he ever thinks on the internet. Like,
that's good advice.
That stuff lives forever. You're gonna look real stupid.
Okay, last one I wanted to discuss on the album is Disaster. This is another one that really stood out to me. I loved it. Tell us about the background of this one.
Disaster is the song, my song for the overthinkers. It's about that like critical moment when you like know you have feelings for someone and you're deciding whether or not you should tell them.
Ooh.
And you're like, okay, well, like, you're running through all the facts. You're like, well, like, one time this happened, and I felt like maybe there was some kind of tension there, but maybe not. Maybe it was just all in my head, and like, if I tell them, like, what if they look at me and they're like, you're absolutely disgusting, I would never date you, and you're like, wow, that really hurts. It's like, you know, it's all the like overthinking and figuring out whether or not you should do something. And I feel like it's a very common theme in my life, being like, I don't know how to read a room. I don't know how to read the vibe. I can't tell ever when.
But see, that surprises me because I feel like you're so intuitive.
I'm dumb as rocks. I'm dumb as rocks. I have no clue what's happening at any time. Literally, someone could be overtly like hitting on me, and I'd be like, yeah, I like you too as a friend. Like, I don't know.
So was that a personal experience, and did you ever say anything? And if so, how did it go?
It was a personal experience. I did say something, and I did get rejected. Oh. That was a good time.
But it makes for a great song.
Stream Superache.
Great. Speaking of that, you're also going on tour, which I'm sure is so exciting to get to play these songs live. How are you preparing for this tour?
I'm preparing for this tour by just kind of deciding how dumb I'm gonna dance on stage, because I feel like all my shows are just like fun dance parties.
What's your go-to dance move? Do you have one?
Oh, I've really been into pointing lately.
A good point. That always looks good in photos too. You know?
Yeah, you're right. A good point is fun. You know, you have a little intimate moment with someone, and it's just like some random stranger. It's really fun. I love to point at dads. Like when I see a dad, and I'm like, you.
Is there a track you're most excited to play live?
Oh, Disaster's gonna be so fun live.
So fun.
But I also feel like Memories, we've been singing it on tour because I just came back from tour, and Memories is so much fun live.
You also said Memories was the last song you wrote for the album. How did you know that was gonna round it out? Like, how did you know that belonged on this album?
It was just like it was the last things that I needed to say. You know, I started out the album all being like naive and like, oh, like, I believe in love and da-da-da-da. And then I wanted to end the album with just like, get out of my life. Like, I just remember I wrote it on piano and I was just like sitting in my room, and I finished the song and I was like, yeah, I think I'm done. I said enough, whatever.
Well, we love that. Well, Conan, thank you so much. We're so excited for you. Congratulations on Superache. You're on tour. Where else can everyone find you? On
the internet, begrudgingly, and yeah, on tour and here, right here with you.
Right here on iHeartRadio. Everyone, let's give it up one more time for Conan Gray. Conan, thanks again for being here. Make sure you stream Superache. It's out now on iHeartRadio, and we'll see you guys next time. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. Did you like that video? You can check out more over here. And don't forget to subscribe to iHeart right here. And if you're already a longtime fan, make sure you ring the bell down below so you don't miss a single video. Bye guys.